All right, so I wanted to share with you a project that I've been working on as a result of being isolated and trying to maintain social distance and the COVID-19 virus spreading around. It's given me some time to look a little bit more on the internet and think about some of the hobbies I have and try a new hobby that's related to an old hobby. So I've always really liked the Jimmy Page Dragon Telecaster. He used it around 1969, given to him by Jeff Beck. So I was really excited when Fender released a couple of editions of the Dragon Telecaster, but I don't plan on buying either one of those for fairly obvious reasons. The custom shop version, which is actually hand painted partially by Jimmy Page and is limited to, I believe, 50 guitars, are $25,000 a piece. So I think that pretty much explains why I'm not going to have one of those sitting over there in the guitar rack anytime soon. And the other one is a made in Mexico version that looks good, but being a guy that plays guitar instead of a guy that collects guitars, there are some issues with that as a playing guitar that I didn't really like. And I thought, well, I could buy one and then modify it to suit my needs, but there's some things I just couldn't modify either. And just to tell you a few of those before talking about how I plan on fixing some of those to suit me better and maybe to suit you better depending on what you like. It's, for example, it had the old style tuning keys on it that have the split post. Right? I'm very accustomed to modern locking keys, and I like them, and they're very stable, and so I would have to change out the tuning keys. Second, it has nickel frets, which is fine, except for the fact that I tend to prefer the slicker feel of stainless steel frets, and I like the fact that you can wear them out, but it's really difficult to do. And then, still talking about the neck, it has a 7.5, it's either 7.5 or 7 1/4 fretboard radius. The fretboard is very round, so it tends to fret out on bends more than, say, a whole tone. So anytime you bend the string really hard on one of those rounded fretboards, you're going to have your notes spread out. I didn't like that. I didn't really like the bridge that was on it because it has the ashtray lip around it, and if you do any palm muting, you know that's going to get in your way. I didn't really like the bridge saddles because they weren't compensated for intonation, so there was a problem there. There was just a bunch of things that I thought I would have to change out to make that guitar suit me. I know, yeah, I had read somewhere, and I don't know whether this is true or not, that the actual Dragon design on the mass-produced made in Mexico version is a decal instead of hand-painted. You may recall Jimmy Page actually hand-painted that on, being a prior art student, I believe. So I thought, well, for $1,200, I bet you I can build one that suits me better than the one I could buy off the rack at, say, Guitar Center or Sweetwater or any of those places. So that's what I plan on doing, and these are the parts I've assembled, and I'm going to get started on it this week, so I kind of wanted to give you an idea of where I'm going with that, and then I'll have a couple of more follow-up videos so that you can see the progress. So the first thing that we have over here, this is a Warmoth Swamp Ash Telecaster body. Now, one thing you'll notice, unlike the 1950s Telecaster, this is a modern Telecaster body, right? I didn't want the route channel through here. I didn't want the little router hump over here. Yeah, I didn't want the channel through here where you adjust the truss rod on the old style Tele. So this is a modern Swamp Ash Telecaster body from Warmoth. Just a beautiful piece of wood, really well finished. And it comes in at 4.5 pounds, which is average for a Swamp Ash body. So light enough that it's not going to result in a 12-pound guitar, but also heavy enough so that it won't sound too thin. So that's going to be the basis for the body. And so what's going in the body? Well, the first thing I wanted to do was to get the pickups right. It's my understanding that Jimmy Page had the original pickups either replaced or rewound so that they were a bit hotter. But of course, it still sounds like a Telecaster. So what I found online with a little bit of research were these Fender Pure Vintage Telecaster pickups from 1964. And they are traditional Telecaster pickups with pushback cloth wire, and they're wax potted to reduce noise. But they're a little bit hotter than, say, your 1950s Telecaster pickups. Which is exactly what I was looking for, and they're actual Fender pickups, so they'll be going in here. I paid probably about want to say about $75 for these. So I thought these were a really good value for the set. Oh, and they also have the Bridge Telecaster also has the brass base plate, which will help with grounding. The next thing I needed to get was a bridge and set of saddles that I liked. And so after doing a lot of research, I knew that I needed to have a convertible bridge, right? Because the Telecaster can either string through the body, or on some of them, you can actually put the bridges or put the strings through the bridge right near the saddle screws. It's called a convertible bridge. So this one's made by Gota. It's called an in-tune bridge, and the saddles are made of titanium in this particular one, and they have notches in them so you can adjust the height, but they also have a notch where the string goes in, and they're staggered so you can get the intonation right. You know, the old style ones just had essentially a flat barrel across there for the saddle, and the intonation was always slightly off no matter what you did. So this is a really well made unit. It's nice and sturdy. The chrome is well done on it. I lined it up with the body, and it fits absolutely perfectly. I'm eager to try that. And this was also about $70 for the complete unit. It includes the mounting hardware and all. So it is a little bit heavy in trying to keep the weight of the Telecaster down. So that's one thing, but I think it'll be just fine. Output jacks. As many of you know, the Telecaster has a problematic output jack, in as much as a lot of times it will come loose because it's held in there by essentially by a retaining clip. So the new and improved version for the output jack is this electro socket, which is actually held in by a couple of screws. Now, one thing I'm going to have to do, as you'll see later on, is this is a completely round body. This is a flat surface jack socket, so it doesn't fit flush against the body. Older Telecasters had this area sanded flat so that the jack would fit, or the socket would fit flat. I'm going to have to do the same, simply because I want it to sit nice and flat. This piece I'm really excited about. This is a pre-wired control piece from 920D. That's the manufacturer, 920D. They're the ones who put it together. This is just a standard three-way switch. It's the T3WC version. But what I really like about this is the quality of it. Right. So these are CTS pots that are very nice. It's got an orange drop capacitor in it. It's got a CRL high-quality switch in it. Beautifully made, beautifully chromed. Just really, and it also has waxed and twisted wires, and then a high-performance input jack here, which has the 4 contacts instead of the 2. I forget what they're called, but it's a really nice setup. So I'm eager to put that in. You would think that would cost quite a bit of money. That was about $62, right? So for that price, I didn't see any sense in buying my own knobs and pots and capacitors and input jacks and all that kind of stuff and wiring it together, but I can get a drop-in unit that is just wired very professionally with very short runs of wire and get all of that done for, you know, essentially $60. It does have the round switch on the top, so I'm going to replace it out with this little $5 flat top hat switch that I got to make it more period correct. I've got the string ferrules for the back of the guitar. This is the part that I'm most excited about. I don't know who gets excited about pick guards other than me, but as you may recall, or maybe not, Jimmy Page had a special pick guard that he made for his Dragon Telecaster, and the two things that kind of made it unique was, number one, he had the pick guard cut so that it extended further down than the traditional Telecaster pick guard, and the second thing that he did was he put a kind of a layer of metallic iridescent film or paper underneath the pick guard so you could see it, so it would reflect kind of a rainbow pattern of lights when he played on stage. So between the combination of the Dragon that's painted on there and the iridescent film under the pick guard that you could see, it was really appropriate for the late '60s. So I don't have the materials to cut plexiglass, and it's very detailed work, and I didn't even want to try to undertake that. So I found on Reverb a gentleman named Bill Cook, and he's got a shop there on Reverb.com, and he makes pick guards. So I asked him if he could make me a pick guard like the Dragon Telecaster pick guard. And I wanted it to be clear, I wanted the edges to be beveled, and I wanted the holes to be countersunk, just like a factory pick guard would be. And this is what he made, and it is absolutely perfect. Fits on there perfectly. It's exactly what I was looking for. I've already tried it on, lined everything up, and most importantly, of course, is it's clear, so that you'll be able to see the reflective material. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I probably spent an entire day looking around on Etsy and eBay and other places like that, trying to match the reflective material here against the Fender Custom Shop reflective material that they use on theirs. I've seen a lot of people make this version of the Dragon Telecaster, and they'll use tinfoil or something like that underneath the pick guard because it's reflective, right? And I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to look, well, I wanted it to look professional. I wanted it to look like the original one back in '69. And so this is just absolutely perfect. This is heat transfer vinyl, and it's probably only about $3 or $4 a sheet. The pick guard was about 20 bucks delivered. And my plan is to bond this oil slick or reflective heat transfer vinyl to a sheet of archival cardstock paper, and then trace the outline of it using this pick guard as a template, and then on the back side of it, right, I'm going to put some copper shielding. So the copper shielding will stick to the cardstock. The cardstock will be stuck to the iridescent vinyl, and then this will cover the whole thing, and go here. So I think that will work pretty well. And I had to order some sharp scissors and X-Acto knife so I can do all the careful cutouts and everything. But we'll see how that goes. But I have confidence that it will look correctly. These are just Fender pickguard screws. And then finally, painting. I know my limitations as an artist, so I'm not going to paint it myself, but my daughter is a very good artist. She's painted things for me in the past, so I went and tried to match the colors as best I could. And so, we've got the acrylic blue, acrylic red, acrylic green, and acrylic orange. Those are the 4 colors that are used in painting the Dragon, and then some acrylic brushes. The next video you see, I should have all of this put together. I'll have sealed, sanded, had my daughter paint on the Dragon design, and assembled all of these parts inside the guitar. So I should have by the next video the body ready to go, and then it'll be time to order the neck, and I'll tell you a little bit about the neck and how it's going to be quite a bit different than the standard neck, although I'm very much going with the original aesthetic. For example, you can get tuning machines that look like the old style vintage tuning machines, but instead have an internal locking mechanism that makes them function as a locking tuner. Stainless steel frets, you can't tell from nickel frets, fretboard radius, and then of course I'm going to want it to adjust the truss rod from the front instead of the old style Telecasters where you have to take off the pick guard and adjust the truss rod from the bottom here. So that's about it. I've got some tools on order now, some sandpaper on order, some grain filler to match this, just various tools that are going to be necessary for me to put all of this stuff together. So hopefully within a month or so, depending on when they allow us to travel out of state, I'll be back with another video showing you what the body looks like and tell you about the guitar neck, which will either be in or ordered at that time. If you're watching this and you're an experienced kit guitar assembler, if that's a word, please feel free to leave any sort of helpful hints that you might have, and if you have made a similar, because I know other folks have made the Jimmy Page Dragon Telecaster. So if you have one of those and you want to post a link to it, I'd be happy to look at it, because I'll tell you right off the bat that nothing here is an original idea. Everything here is a result of me looking on the internet and researching and figuring out exactly what I want, exactly how I want to do it. There's probably going to be 10 times as many days planning and thinking than there's going to be in the execution of this kit. That's all I have, and thank you very much.